You hear that? Listen closer. That, my friend, is the deafening sound of focus. It drowns out all the useless noise that can clutter the moment. Naysayers don't exist. Haters? Smaters? The peanut gallery? Who's that? When you in your zone, all that noise and all that buzz is just elevator music. So, enjoy your journey, focus on your goal, and bask in the quiet roar that is progress. Because when it's your time to shoot that shot, spit that verse, or close that deal, the only voice that matters is yours. Defy life. The following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
What's up, listeners? Welcome to another PSA Public Sports Announcement. I'm your host, Sam Delgado, here with my co-hosts.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Alvin. Welcome back.
What's going on, guys? Reezaan here. Hope everybody's been doing well.
As always, we are on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, and Go Defy Life. Go check us out there. We've got some merch for you. You might like it. We got just about everything, so go check that out. This week, we've got some player news. Some of the biggest names around the league are waiting for contracts and are not happy. We've got a big matchup coming up between two teams that we thought were Super Bowl contenders, and they're now both fighting for survival, and we're going into week 5. All our teams are 1-3, but one of us feels some type of way, so you'll get a rant about the Giants in this one, and we'll finish off talking about the Kings' debut in LA. So without further ado, let's get into it. What happened with Earl Thomas this week, y'all?
So Earl Thomas broke his leg on Sunday, and he will miss the whole year. This is incredibly big because Earl Thomas is in the last year of his contract. So this year's money is good, and he's going to be paid for this year. But next year, his offseason is going to be costly because teams might be a little less willing to give a guy money coming off of injury. He's been injured in the past. So just for FYI, this number this year was $8.5 million. He was hoping to get $8.5 million over long term, something like that. But we'll see what his number looks like at the end of the next season. Then there's Le'Veon Bell, who we all know is still holding out to avoid being in a very similar situation as Earl Thomas. The reports say that Le'Veon Bell will be back during our bye week, which is week 7. He's not come to camp. He hasn't showed up at all to avoid an injury. Just like Earl Thomas, he knows he's in the same boat. He's trying to save himself for the next offseason so he can cash out. What do you think about players doing holdouts and stuff like that? And specifically, what do you think of these two holdout situations? And do you guys think Le'Veon Bell is doing the right thing by saving himself and fighting for player guaranteed contracts and better player deals?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what they're doing, and Earl Thomas's injury really proves it. You have a guy who has been a team leader. He's helped you win a Super Bowl. He's been damn near the best safety in the National Football League since he entered it. And when he wanted an extension to stay on your team, to keep performing for you, you didn't want to give him that money. He's going to enter next year as a 30-year-old free safety coming off a broken foot, and it's going to be hard for him to get a very lucrative contract. At this point in his career, I don't know if he really wants a big lucrative contract, but you always want to eat and you always want to take care of your family. And yeah, I get it. He's still earning $8.5 million for, I guess, doing nothing now. But for what he's done for this team and the amount of money he's really made, the owner, the people he's kept hired. I mean, you think about the Legion of Boom and how they're not there anymore, but Earl Thomas is. It's for a reason. It's because he's that good. He's that talented. He's really the backbone of that defense and always has been. I definitely think that players, I wouldn't say they should continue to hold out, but I think that they should continue to put up a fight on their contracts. I've learned that player contracts aren't as attractive as they seem, or there's a lot in depth that you have to go into and look at when looking at a player contract. I feel for Earl Thomas. Apparently he was going to get traded to the Chiefs pretty soon after that game, probably sometime this week or definitely next week. The Chiefs are willing to give up a second rounder for him. And coming back to Le'Veon Bell's situation, I tweeted as soon as the injury happened is that this is the reason Le'Veon's doing it. This is the reason he doesn't want to play it. And he already did an interview and said, look, the reason I didn't come back is because I didn't want to have 400 touches and go into next year as a free agent and teams telling me, you had 400 touches last year, you're not fresh, we're not going to give you what you deserve. And that's BS, but players have to deal with it. So now I think Le'Veon's put himself in a good situation. If the Steelers make the playoffs, which is looking a little iffy right now, he's going to play a max of, I think, 11 games if they go all the way. He's going to put himself into a better situation. If they don't go into the playoffs, I think he's looking at about playing 8 games. So I agree with them. I think this is a good fight. And honestly, the Steelers need Le'Veon Bell. James Conner looked really good early on, but he cannot do what Le'Veon Bell does because no one can, and no one can emulate that. So the Steelers, and he's still saying after everything that's happened that he wants to play for the Steelers. He doesn't want to get traded. I just think that players are being taken advantage of at this point, and that something needs to be done about it. And Le'Veon is the guy who's doing it. He's the only guy that's really doing it. I guess Khalil Mack did it too because he ended up getting traded, but it is what it is with that. And I think going forward, you're going to see a lot of players willing to hold out to not get injured. I mean, it just sucks because it happened to Earl Thomas because it was one of the main storylines of the offseason, and it just kind of proves everyone's point, or at least the player's point.
Real quick, Reezaan, to talk about the amount of games that Le'Veon might play. If he comes back in week 8 through 16, you're talking about 9 games. And in the regular season, if the Steelers make the playoffs somehow, it doesn't look like we're going to make the playoffs pretty early, but if we do, guess who's going to be the first one to sit in this 17-week game? Le'Veon. So now he has the potential to knock as many games off as he wants. If we're really bad, let's say we're 4-10. You think Le'Veon's playing the last 2 games? No chance. He's really putting all of his emphasis on keeping himself safe. And at the end of the day, he could really end up playing the end of the season, playing like 6 games if we do or don't make the playoffs, and then going into playoffs. So he could be really fresh in all season.
Yeah, and I think for him to be fresh, he's going to need to be fresh to get paid. It's not that teams don't think he's talented. It's that he has a history of getting suspended for smoking weed. He has injury history. He's torn his ACL. So it's not just Le'Veon Bell, the player who's holding out. It's a bunch of things that's building up, but he's too talented to not sign. I think if you look at some of the teams around the league that are missing a running back or missing someone who can turn the game around from the running back position, I think Le'Veon is a player who can turn a team into a contender, a team into a top 5 offense. He's that talented. He's that good, and someone's going to pay him. And I'm assuming it'll be a team who has a young quarterback because most teams with older quarterbacks can't afford him.
Yeah, I think they're fighting a good fight, but the NFL is a different type of league. They are the league out of the major sports enterprises, the MLB, NBA, NFL. They are the ones that pay out the least to their players. Even though their players put their bodies in the most danger, they make the most money out of any other league. These are guys that should be getting paid as much as NBA players, but Earl Thomas, the best safety in the league, is making $8.5 million a year, which is nothing, which is less than baseball players make. So I think this is a good fight. I think they'll win this fight because there's plenty of money to spread around, and these guys deserve it. It's really unfortunate what happened to Earl Thomas. It was the reason for his holdout. He didn't want to get hurt. He held out through all of minicamp and came back and was having a great year. He already had 3 interceptions.
He's having a hell of a year.
So he was earning a raise, really, and he just wanted 8.5 per year. So we saw he got hurt. He flicked the sideline off. And I'm not going to say they didn't deserve it because he just wanted to get paid for what he was doing on the field. And he's being the best safety on the field. Let's pay him like it. I don't think that's asking for much. And in Le'Veon's case, I think he's doing the smart thing, keeping himself healthy. And I think he's very enticing for a lot of teams because we all know what he can do. But I don't think we need to see him go out there and play 9 and 10 games. We just need 4 games to make sure this guy is still Le'Veon. Go out there, produce, and that's going to bring himself plenty of attention, plenty of suitors that will be willing to pay him whatever he wants. Because I've read that he doesn't even want 17 like it was first reported. He would take 14, and in my opinion, 14 a year for Le'Veon Bell is well worth it, especially for a team like the Colts, who haven't had a great running back in years, like since I can really remember, and that would be a huge addition to Andrew Luck and for that whole offense. So that's just one team that I think should make a run for Le'Veon.
Yeah, the number he wanted at the end of right at the deadline, the number he was asking for was 15, and the Steelers wouldn't give him 15 guaranteed for more than 3 years. They were playing funny with the contract numbers and the narrative, and they were putting out that he was turning down a deal that was 5 for 70, I believe. So it looked like he was being really petty and holding out over $500,000 a year. But within their numbers, it was like he was only getting 35 over the first 3 years. And so he made it very clear. I've heard him say it. And all the reports said he wanted 15 over guaranteed money. The whole 15 a year guaranteed for at least 3 years. And they wouldn't give him that. And Earl Thomas made it also very clear. Pay me or trade me to a team that would. And for me, when players on your team make their intentions clear and you don't do right by them, you deserve whatever's coming to you. And luckily, unfortunately, the players can't really do much but flick off their bench. And I think he's earned that right because I told you what I wanted. Earl Thomas went so far as to he sits out portions of practice just when he wants to because he's that willing to risk or to not risk injury. So certain times of practice, he'd just go sit on the sideline, take his helmet off, and be like, "I'm done for a while." And then he'll go back to practice when he's ready, simply because of injury. And for him to go out like this year at this time, it really sucks. And Seahawks, y'all are hosts for not paying him or trading him. Cost that man millions of dollars. The Steelers may be in the same. They could put Bell in the same boat. His third game, he could come out, also get hurt, and that would cost Le'Veon Bell millions of dollars. Like you said, Sam, you're willing to pay him $14 million a year. Would you still be willing to pay him $14 million coming off an ACL tear?
Yeah, and I think Le'Veon has more at stake than Earl Thomas because Earl Thomas is older, and the free safety market hasn't been that hot, and you don't have safeties coming out the way they do. Like, it takes a while for a safety to get to at a high playing level at running backs. We've seen running backs come through the draft within the past 3 seasons, and they've played extremely well. Teams still believe that they could draft a running back. Yeah, there's some of the best running backs have come out the past 3 seasons, and they've taken the league by storm. And
safety, I can't tell you the last rookie safety that was top 3 safety in the league.
Yeah, it hasn't happened. It just doesn't happen. Safety is just a position that takes time to get used to, especially in the NFL because the game is so much faster. But it's such an important part of a team, and Le'Veon Bell is the best running back in the league, no doubt about it. The Steelers needed to do right by him. They didn't, and he's still willing to say, I'd like to play for the Steelers. I mean, that takes a lot of – you have to put your ego to the side to say something like that. We've seen players in the past come out and strictly go against their team and say that they hate them, talk about the players, talk about the coaches. It doesn't matter. Like, Le'Veon's teammates talked about his money situation and how much he would have made, should have made, whatever it is, but he's still willing to come back and play. I think it tells you about his character and the type of person he is.
And I think it tells you a lot about the culture of where the NFL players, where their head is at. And it seems to be that they're saying, pay us what we deserve, or we're not putting our bodies on the line in this sport. So it's like, this sport is so dangerous, we're not risking it. And we've seen players make the decision of, that's not enough money for me to play this sport. And Des Bryant has made that decision. He's you know what I mean? So clearly that's where the mindset is going. And I support it because I completely agree. If you're the best at your position, get what you deserve, more so in other sports, because you're risking a lot every single play.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Le'Veon comes back and he has a good year, and then the Steelers give him whatever he asked for. That's what I really hope it happens, and I just don't see it.
And I think he will have a good year. He's well rested. Like, it's hard for him not to have a good year. and the Steelers are going to realize how bad they really need him.
And another thing I think the Steelers are going to realize, which I'm realizing, is how bad the Steelers could look in the future without Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
We have the potential to be a really bad team next year without Le'Veon Bell. Really bad.
And with Big Ben getting older and older, it doesn't help.
There's so many pieces, there's so many dominoes that could fall within the next 9 to 12 months. If Le'Veon Bell is not on this team, there's a decent chance the Steelers are the worst team in this division.
Whew.
That fast.
That sucks.
Yeah, that fast.
All right, so there's a huge matchup this week between two teams we thought were Super Bowl contenders. Now they're just fighting to stay alive. The Falcons are at 1-3, and the Steelers are at 1-2-1 right now. What do y'all think about the game? Who do y'all pick to win it?
Obviously, I'm taking my boys, but also no bias. I'd probably still pick the Steelers. They're at home. I'm not going to say they need it more. Both teams really need it, but I think the Steelers have looked a little better and less worrisome. So the Falcons' problems have been their defense, and I don't know. They've got a lot of holes to cover in that secondary, and when you're putting young guys in there, it's a little more worrisome to me than just kind of having guys that aren't that good. And that's what the Steelers have on defense, is just guys that kind of aren't that good. But the Falcons' running game doesn't scare me enough. The Steelers' run defense is not good, but I don't know if Freeman's going to play, and Telvin Coleman doesn't scare me every down. He does have some home run hitter in him, but he just doesn't scare me every down. What scares me is Julio. If the Steelers can hold Julio to no touchdowns and semi-manageable numbers, which is less than 150 yards, then I think we're going to be fine. Steelers probably pull out a dub. But same time, Ben Roethlisberger has looked awful, and he has in the past, and every time he says, it's on me, I'm going to play better. Usually he does, but this year, I don't know. I'm doubting him a little more than usual because it just hasn't looked right. That's why we're seeing Antonio Brown kind of mad, because his offense doesn't look right without Le'Veon Bell, and it doesn't look right with Ben Roethlisberger missing wide open throws to Antonio Brown. That's just not something that happens. It didn't happen in the past that often, and it's been happening a lot this season. And with his age, and I don't know if he's going to pull us out this year, because he's going to have to carry us, and he doesn't look like he has it. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, I'm still going to pick us to win at home. Hopefully that carries us enough.
Yeah, I disagree. Obviously, I'm taking the Falcons in this one, but I think I got some better reasons. Obviously, our defense is torn up. Like, we have 3 starters out, and we're struggling right now. We couldn't hold the Bengals to below 30 points. That's kind of ridiculous in my eyes. But one thing you said was the Steelers' offense isn't looking right. And what that says to me is that if this gets into a shootout, if one team isn't going to be able to convert eventually, it's going to be the Steelers. Because ever since the first game of the year when we played the Eagles, the Falcons have converted a touchdown in every single red zone possession. So if we're putting points on the board like we have been, I don't think the Steelers can keep up in a shootout with us. Obviously, this depends a lot on our defense, and I think the guys taking over are really going to have to grow up really quickly if we're going to have any type of playoff wishes this season. But I think the offense is in a little bit better state than the Steelers' offense, and just the team as a whole, I think, is just a little bit more talented.
Wow.
The thing is, I don't know if you could talk about, I don't know if you can say that the Steelers would lose in a shootout when you guys have lost your past 2 shootouts. Both of y'all's defenses are bad, and both of you have, I would say, the number 1 and number 2 receivers in football. I would give the edge on offense to the Falcons just because I think they have a more consistent run game. But receivers-wise, quarterback play-wise, both quarterbacks look on and off, but Matt Ryan has looked really good the past 2-3 games. Yeah, the past 3 games against the Panthers, he looked really good against the Saints, against the Bengals, and he's done everything he can. I don't know if Matt Ryan can do more, which is why I'm taking the Steelers because they're playing at home. If the Steelers were on the road at Mercedes-Benz, I would take the Falcons. But Ben Roethlisberger is usually much better at home than he is on the road. Like, it is absolutely insane. He looks like
so
freaking
crazy.
Brock Osweiler on the road, and he looks like Big Ben at home. And Matt Ryan has trouble playing outdoors, and I think this is going to be a shootout. But the Falcons have literally shown to us that they can't play in a shootout, or they can play in a shootout, but they can't win one because of their defense. Like, how many seconds were left when Andy Dalton threw that touchdown to AJ Green? It was like it was like
7.
Yeah, so like 7 seconds, game on the line, and I get it. They have young guys back there. There's been a lot of injuries, and really this offense has looked so much better than I thought it would. Sarkisian is doing a hell of a job calling plays, but it's just that defense that scares me. And because they have all those young guys, the Steelers have veterans in there that have been in the league a long time, that have produced at a high level. I expect this game to be close, and I expect it to be high scoring. I think both teams are going to get into the 30s. It's a good day for fantasy owners if you have these teams, but I'm going to go with the Steelers because they're at home and because Big Ben is better at home. But if Matt Ryan gives us another big performance, 300 plus yards, 3+ touchdowns, I mean, I've always been afraid to call him elite, and I won't call him elite, but he's definitely proving to me that his MVP season wasn't a fluke and that he just needed some reinforcement, and he has that now. But the Falcons being 1-4 is going to be absolutely wild. Their offense is too talented to be 1-4, but the Steelers are also too damn talented on offense to be 1-3-1.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, but I just think what it really comes down to is if our young guys on defense can grow up.
In a week? After
as quick as they need to. They might not need to be elite out there this week. If they get us the dub, they still need to keep growing for the rest of the year because we got our 2 Pro Bowlers on defense and our quarterback on defense are all out. So we're going to need them to grow the fuck up real fast.
And the Steelers the Steelers and the Falcons really are playing in 2 really tough divisions. I mean, the Ravens defense looks really good. Joe Flacco has looked tremendous. Baker Mayfield has clearly had a resurgence on this team. The Bengals are 3-1, just beat your Falcons. The Falcons are playing a division with Drew Brees, who seems ageless, who's going to break the record this Monday night. The Panthers have looked good even though the Falcons beat them. I don't know if they would beat them again given the circumstances, and the Bucs are the Bucs. But at the end of the day, 2 really tough divisions and 2 really good offenses that have terrible records. Whoever loses this game isn't making the playoffs, and I'm not saying that it's statistically impossible. I'm saying that from a standpoint of the division that you're sitting in and the teams that are surrounding you, you will not make the playoffs. So I think this game has really big implications, and both teams are going to have to bring their A game.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that. And I think this is one of the biggest games because it has implications. This early, I think, you can count a team out simply because they're probably just not good enough. It's fair to say that neither one of these good teams are good enough to overcome 4 losses, essentially, or 3 losses and a tie. So this is going to be a dogfight, and hopefully Big Ben shows up because it's a big game, which he normally does. Looking at some of his stats, he performs significantly better in every month but September. I don't know what's going on with September. He's 500 in September and much better in every other month. This is the start of October. Hopefully he turns it on. But I don't know. I think this is really much of a toss-up. I would probably go with whichever team's at home. Fortunately, it happens to be us this year. I'm interested to see if Julio Jones gets on the board against the Steelers. Honestly, if he doesn't, this is crazy because the Steelers allow touchdowns to anyone. So our cornerbacks are struggling. Joe Hayden's the only good one. Artie Burns just got benched 2 weeks ago. And then he gets benched, and then the guy he comes in for gets hurt, so we have to put Artie Burns back out there. We're now missing our third and fourth corner. So defense is going to be struggling, and if it's a shootout, you're probably right, Sam, in that I don't know if the Steelers are going to be able to hang just because the offense doesn't look that good. But if we can hang, there's no doubt we beat y'all because y'all haven't been able to perform in shootout. I'm not worried about that. If we're there, we're going to beat you, and we're pretty good in shootouts with the veterans and Big Ben at the helm. I'm not worried. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is gonna be a great game, and I honestly can't wait to watch it.
Me either.
I hate that these games, like, why is the Falcons Steelers game at 1:00? Why is Jacksonville Chiefs at 1:00? Like, these are extremely good games that are gonna be fun to watch. Like, these need to be the primetime games, even though the primetime games have been pretty damn good. This is a game that I would love to watch on Sunday or Monday night.
Yep. Yeah. Steelers Falcons. That would be a great Monday night game. Has that Monday night feel to it.
So this year, in particular, has been a wild year for offenses. Every record is on pace to be broken. When I say every record, I literally mean every record. The passing touchdowns record, the passing yards record, the completion percentage. Through these 4 weeks, there have been more points scored than any other 4 weeks in NFL history. These numbers are from Adam Schefter. 3,030 points scored through 4 weeks, 344 touchdowns total through 4 weeks, and 228 passing touchdowns through 4 weeks. Those three numbers right there are the most ever in NFL history. And while these teams are doing great things, like Bortles, Mitch Trubisky, Jared Goff, are all putting up great numbers, running backs are touching the ball 20, 25 times, here are my Giants, who are sitting at 1-3. They didn't want to invest in the quarterback of the future. Took Saquon Barkley to have him run the ball 10 times in a close, contested game. The Giants had a shot to win this game. The defense played amazing. On 4 red zone trips by Drew Brees, they allowed 4 field goals. That's a win. If you tell me we're going to take Drew Brees into the red zone 4 times and he's only going to score 12 points, I will take it every single day of the week. And then Odell, you paid him $90 million, made him the highest paid wide receiver in the National Football League, and you throw him the ball 11 times. Through 2 quarters, he has 2 receptions for -4 yards. So you didn't want to get your quarterback of the future. You took a running back. You wanted to keep Odell, which I agree with, but you only want to give him the ball 7 times total. He only touches the ball 8 times actually total. Odell and Saquon combined to touch the ball 24 times against the New Orleans Saints. The worst defense in the league. If they touch the ball more, we win. We win if they touch the ball more. It's better when the ball is in their hands. Eli has actually looked pretty freaking good. He's missed on some throws, but he can't complete all of them. He's completing close to 72% of his passes. This offense looks terrible, though, and I don't blame it all on him, but some of it's on him, and most of it is on coaching. Pat Shurmur needs to grow up, needs to realize who he has, the talent that he has, and give them the ball. What does he say after the game? Oh, I should have maybe ran the ball with Barkley more. No, you fucking think? Barkley hasn't been 5 to 6 yards every time. He's had 5, 2, maybe 0, 5, 4, and then he breaks a big one. He had a 28-yard run against the Saints, and then after that, they didn't have to hand the ball off to him again. I don't know why. And for drives at a time, they literally take him out of the game. They put in Wayne Gallman, who is actually pretty decent, but why are you spending the number 2 pick on a rookie running back? And you didn't want to invest in the future, but take him out for literally drives at a time. After every 3 or 4 drives, you just let him sit on the bench. It doesn't make sense to me. Give them the ball, hand Barkley the ball at least 15 times a game, let him catch 4 to 5 passes, and target Odell 15 times a game. Odell gets open. The offensive line needs to do a better job of giving him time, which they've done in the past couple of weeks. But Eli needs to be able to sit in there and make throws. I love Eli. He's always been my quarterback. And I'll always respect the hell out of him. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame one day. His numbers are just too damn good to not go, especially with the Super Bowls. But this is the last year I want to see Eli under center for the Giants. Things need to change. I thought Pat Shurmur would honestly be the coach. You guys know how high I was on him, especially with the job he did on Case Keenum last year. I thought we would have that type of offense, but we just don't because he wants to do weird little things. I remember one particular play inside the red zone, maybe 22-yard line. Odell is being pressed. He's being pressed. No safety help over the top. The safety literally starts lurking in. And Odell is one-on-one. Straight shot to the end zone. And I know he would have scored because it's Odell. You can't press Odell like that and have no safety over the top. And we throw the ball to the other side on a really bad screenplay. Like, that can't happen. We won't win like that. We're not winning like that. We have a game against the Panthers, one of the best defenses in the National Football League. A defense, and not statistically or anything like that, but a defense that stands usually pretty freaking strong. Pat Shurmur, you need to get your shit together, or this is going to be another season down the fucking drain. You wasted the number 2 overall pick on a kid you won't really use, and he's shown he's special. Multiple times he has shown that he's special. Just keep handing him the ball and good things will happen. This offensive line doesn't need to be great. Adrian Peterson never ran behind great offensive line. Kareem Hunt isn't running behind great offensive lines. Just give him the ball and let him do his thing. Let Odell have the ball in his hand and let him do his thing. They're absolutely right to be frustrated. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I agree with most of that, except let me ask you, so you don't agree with the drafting of Saquon Barkley? Like, kind of forget how they've played him thus far, but now 6 months after it's happened, how do you feel about them passing on the quarterback of the future and instead taking the special talent of Saquon Barkley?
The thing is, like, when they made the pick, I thought we would have a quarterback for the future, but when the pick was made, I thought, all right, now we easily have a top 5, top 7 running back in the league. That hasn't happened since Tiki Barber. And I thought they would use him in a way, which is why I was so confident in making that bet with you, is that we would use him like a true bell cow running back, that he would change this offense. And at times he has changed this offense. A lot of people can't make the plays he makes. But if we don't use him enough, then, yeah, we just wasted this pick. Because if Eli retires next year or the Giants trade him or release him, then what are we doing? What are we doing with that? Like, what was the point of that? If you're not going to use him properly, he has fully guaranteed contract. Like, I don't know if you're trying to – I don't know if he might be hurt or he might be playing with a swollen, I don't know, ankle, whatever it is. But use him more. That's it. Like, I think this is a great pick. I could see why they wanted to do this pick. I think the Giants have the ability to have a really special offense. Evan Ingram's hurt right now, but Sterling Shepard is balling. He looks like a elite number 2 receiver in the league. I'm not saying an elite receiver, but an elite number 2 receiver. And this offense can be special, but let Saquon do his thing. Let Odell do his thing. If you're going to pass on a quarterback for a running back, then actually use him. Don't just let him touch the ball 16 times total in a closed game. That shit makes no sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. That should be your star. He should be your Le'Veon Bell type back, and you're just not giving him the ball enough right now.
Yeah, I expect 17 to 20 carries a game from Saquon, and I expect at least 3 to 5 passes caught by him. Pat Shurmur, I don't know, he's been a head coach before, so I'm surprised that this stuff is happening. Against the Saints, the score was 12-7. Or it was actually 9-7, and the Saints had a 2nd and goal, and 58 seconds left, and the Giants have 2 timeouts. And this man didn't call a timeout. You're probably getting the ball back with 48 seconds left. You're telling me in 48 seconds you can't get in field goal range with a timeout with the players that you have on offense? Like, it's just been blunders on blunders, and him coming out saying, oh, I should have called the timeout. Oh, I should have given Saquon the ball more. Like, dude, cut that shit out. Like, make the plays happen. That's why you're the head coach. Why are you second-guessing yourself? I don't know. It's extremely frustrating.
Whether or not y'all could have gotten a field goal range really doesn't matter. The fact that you didn't give your team a chance is ridiculous. Yeah. That's coaching blunders. I was like, oh, yeah, you're not ready. There's no way.
You're not ready.
There's no way you thought against that plan.
The Giants' best offense, I understand that teams play a 2-minute drill differently, but, like, for some reason, every time we're in a 2-minute drill, Eli looks so confident. Like, he knows what he wants to do. He's not questioning himself. He's letting the ball out. Like, this offense is going too short, and I get that they're playing a soft zone. If a team is playing a soft zone on you, if they're keeping the safeties back there because they're afraid of what Odell might do, then run the ball more. The safeties aren't coming in. You finally got a running back that can actually make a difference. And they're just doing checkdowns to Sterling Shepard or Rhett Ellison on the other side, which absolutely makes no sense.
Yeah, y'all definitely have a dual threat, and there's not many teams in the NFL that can be blessed with a receiver and a running back of the talent that they both possess.
Absolutely.
So until you start using them correctly, I don't see how you can possibly be successful.
And as we think about the teams that do have them, they overuse them like crazy. Whether it's the Saints, whether it's the Chiefs or the Steelers.
Or the Steelers, yeah.
Yeah, teams that have really good running backs and really good receivers. That's what your offense is. Just because that's your playmaker. There is no, that's just what you do. You give it to them, you hand the ball off to your running back, you feed your receiver passes, and if your running back can catch, you feed him passes too. And then everybody else eats off that. But that's...
And if your running back isn't running the ball well, it doesn't matter. Before
Saquon's
big run against the Jaguars, a 68-yard touchdown, I think he was averaging 2.2 yards per carry. And then he just broke a big one, which brought us back into the game, clearly. He did the same thing against the Saints. He had, I think, 7 carries and was getting 2.6 yards per carry and then broke off a 28-yarder. Those are big plays, and they'll come if you keep giving him the ball. They need to figure it out. That shit's starting to really frustrate me. Hopefully he's learned his lesson after being 1-3.
Yeah, hopefully. But we'll see. Coaches don't seem to learn it that fast. All right, moving on, switching gears. We're back. We're going to the NBA next. LeBron made his debut in a Laker uniform. It's still a little weird for me to see, but I do like it. I think it looks better to me on him than a Cavs uniform. I think that might be just because the Laker uniform just looks kind of dope because it's the Lakers. But either way, he's out there in LA now with the new cast, whole new team. You know, he got the young guys, Alonzo, Kuzma, and Ingram. And they brought in some old veterans, maybe some misfits with Rondo, Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee, Michael Beasley. So this is a really interesting team. First year that these guys are together, and they've got LeBron. So this could go anywhere. This could be a crazy year. What do you guys think about the Lakers and their chances in the West? You know, the Warriors are still there, and they got bookies. So I don't think anybody's going to say they're going to be number one in the West. But how do you guys feel about that? And when you're looking at, do you think the misfits are going to fit with the second unit and all those guys? And the 3 young guys who are really the future of the Lakers, which one of those guys do you think will really benefit the most from having LeBron James on their team?
Yeah, okay. First off, I don't think there's any LeBron team that doesn't make the playoffs. So there's that guarantee. They're a playoff team now. Beyond that, I think the young guy that prospers most off this is Kyle Kuzma, because he's getting someone else to feed the ball and take attention away from him. And I think he's the best scorer out of the 3 young guys that they have. The supporting cast, I love Rajon Rondo. I think he's the best pickup they made besides Braun. They have some decent players. JaVale McGee can flash some mediocrity sometimes. But besides that, no real pickups that really turn my head. But they have Braun, they have a young cast, and I think it's a cast that can get them to the playoffs. LeBron, of course, always has a chance to go on, but I'm not going to sit here right now and say that they're going deep into the playoffs. On another note, I think what we've seen from LeBron this whole offseason is different. We're seeing more of a Hollywood LeBron. He's been dancing. He's been doing shows. He's been doing interviews. He's been in 3 movies this summer. We're seeing a lot more personality out of him, and I think we're starting to see kind of him set up his plans for after basketball. So I don't know how that's going to translate onto the court, whether we'll see an improvement from him like he's been improving for the past few years, or whether we'll see the same thing. I'm not really sure, but he doesn't seem to be focused on basketball right now. And that kind of worries me a little bit.
Wow. The fact that you're worried about LeBron is kind of crazy. I'm pretty confident LeBron could show up at any moment. And no matter what he was doing for the last 3 weeks, if he shows up, he's LeBron.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily worried about it. It's just it's kind of weird that he's not playing basketball. He's just been out like a celebrity.
I mean, he is a celebrity. I mean, he's one of the most recognizable athletes in the world. And when he made this move, this is what I kind of thought of as okay, what are the chances that he wins in LA? Not very likely. I don't think it'll happen. I think they'll be a good team. I think any team with LeBron's a good team. But this was a business move, personal life move, and that's okay. He's given his life to basketball. He's given his life to Cleveland. I don't know. There haven't been a lot of athletes that have impacted their city the way LeBron did. And if he wants to make a decision based off of his personal life, his businesses, that's fine with me. I also think he's going to make this Lakers team better. They're going to be better for it in 3-4 years. I don't think they'll have a chance to win right away. I think there's a lot of talented teams in the East, or in the West, but LeBron's a hell of a player. He's gonna make this team better, and I think I wouldn't be worried about LeBron in this basketball sense. A reporter asked him, he was like, "Hey, you're doing all this. How does it? Like, are you sure you're focused on the right thing?" And LeBron got a little upset. He said, "Do you know me?" He said, "How long have you been reporting on me?" And I honestly thought it was kind of a fair question to ask, just because, like we're talking about, he's interested in a lot of different things right now, and he's making his brand even bigger. But I don't know if that was your question, Alvin.
No, you're good.
Yeah. That's my point of view on it.
But one thing, yeah, I hear what you guys are saying, but just for a little, like, if you really think about it like this, if LeBron takes the summer off, let's say he doesn't work on his skills so much, but just cardio, takes the summer off, and instead of working on his skills, he does this more celebrity stuff, but he's still in shape. When he shows up for a training camp or whatever, it's going to take nothing for him to get his skills back. And he's still going to be the best player in the world to get that rust off, and now he's still in shape. So I hear what you guys are saying, and I think there's no doubt, and any sane person, if you really think about it, it's kind of obvious that throwing your attention to something else like fame and celeb and that kind of stuff is going to take away from whatever else you were doing. I just don't think it's going to affect his basketball because he's LeBron. And it's just, he's on the top of the world. He can take a summer off after never taking he didn't take summers off before. This is the one he gets off. Fine, go for it. You don't even have to play basketball all summer if you don't want to. I'm pretty confident when he comes back, they'll be good to go. And for me, this is a team that has probably second or third in the West. I don't know if I'm ready to say they're better than the Rockets. We're going to have to see. But I like their chances against the Rockets, and they're definitely not better than the Warriors. And to me, it's a three-man race with the Rockets, Warriors, and Lakers. I think those three teams are kind of in another class. And behind them is like OKC and those other teams, probably the Nuggets. So
the Jazz.
The Jazz, yeah, Jazz would be a pretty good team. Those kind of teams are in the second tier. Talking about the younger players, I think you're right. The first couple of years, I think Kyle is going to be the best. He's going to benefit the most, partially because I think he's a slimmer and better Kevin Love, except like Kevin Love in Cleveland. So he shoots well without the ball, plays well without the ball, and can kind of score with the ball. But he doesn't really rebound well, doesn't really play defense, which sounds like Kevin Love in Cleveland. So imagine Kevin Love younger and more impressionable. I think he becomes a really good spot-up shooter. And Zoe's not going to really help that much because you're going to take the ball out of Zoe's hands, and he doesn't play well without the ball. And Ingram just gets knocked down on the list as the go-to scorer. I think now he's the second go-to scorer. But long-term, I think Lonzo Ball probably has the best benefit from this because his game is going to be about – his development is going to be about the mental part. If he becomes from good to like a great point guard, it's going to be how well he controls the game mentally and stuff. And no one's better than LeBron. And even Rajon Rondo. So those kind of influences on Lonzo's game, I think in 4 or 5 years are going to pay incredible dividends as far as when he listens to LeBron. Like, they're on the – I'm willing to bet, like, they're on the same wavelength on IQ. And we're going to see it this year where, like, Lonzo and LeBron are going to have some plays that are probably going to remind you of, like, Dwayne Wade and LeBron. Just because there's sometimes going to be a step ahead. And Lonzo's already sometimes a step ahead. And this is second year in the league, third year in the league. So give him LeBron. It's like his development is going to be kind of insane in 5 years.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. He's like that part of his game is going to step up like crazy. And if he can, work on his scoring a little bit, he might be one of the best point guards in the league by the time he has a few years to really learn from Bron and Rondo because they're both great passers and they make their team a much better team. But this year, I don't think he's going to benefit because it's a lot of the same style on the same team.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think it's a style that really works if you are looking to score.
Yeah. And Lonzo is not the least, because he's probably a better scorer than Rondo, but he's not a good scorer. So LeBron can still score even being offensively, pass minded. Lonzo's not going to be scoring, and he's not going to score off ball. So he's going to I think he's going to be rough this year. It might be rough for him this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting in general. Like, we talked about it, a while ago when he first decided to go there, is how is he going to mesh with the younger guys? And I think you kind of see it from the attitude. I haven't really heard much from Kuzma or Lonzo Ball since LeBron decided to go there. Their attitudes have kind of shifted. You kind of have to get serious when LeBron comes. That's just kind of what it's not what he demands, but it's just his presence. It's what you want to do. You want to be serious around LeBron. You want to be able to play good fundamental. Yeah, you want to play good fundamental basketball. It's not that LeBron doesn't mess around. Like, have you seen some of the shit that him and Wade have said?
Yeah.
But I think there's a time and place for it, and I don't think they knew that time and place before, but now they definitely do. I think you're going to see some frustration out of LeBron early on, but he's also going to realize that he's kind of the coach on the floor. Luke Walton's a hell of a coach, but when they're playing the game, Luke Walton isn't going to be telling LeBron what to do. He might drop some plays. He might make some adjustments. But other than that, when they're on the floor, when the game is in flow, they're listening to LeBron James. And he is the best coach player, one of the best coach players ever. So it'll be fun to watch, and it'll be really good for their improvement long term.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned Luke Walton, I think him and LeBron are going to make a good team because Luke Walton is a very good coach, and if they can develop like a partnership where they actually listen to each other and talk to each other and talk things through, I think that aspect of the team can be really good. They can have a really good, smart basketball team.
And I agree. And to your point, I think LeBron and Rajon Rondo are at a point in their careers where they're not beefing with coaches anymore, especially Rajon Rondo. But LeBron did it a little bit early in his career where he had problems with the coach because he's LeBron. You know what I mean? And he's gotten better at navigating that space. And so I think you're right. This could be a great, this would be for both parties. Everybody recognizes that when LeBron walks into a room, the room changes, and Luke Walton included. So I think if everybody embraces that idea, and LeBron's at the place where he knows that, but also understands Luke Walton is the coach, and so
I think
these are
young
the
guys.
Coach. Exactly.
Respecting the coach is the biggest part. Like,
respecting his authority and his word.
Yeah. Do you guys remember what Luke Walton did with the Warriors while Steve Kerr was gone?
Yeah.
He basically helped them win a championship. Yeah. He got them off to one of the best starts in NBA history. And
Luke Walton is a great coach.
Yeah, he's well respected. And I think LeBron's going to realize that. I also don't think because Luke Walton's been coaching for a couple of years that he's not going to have a big head. So I think it'll be a good partnership, yeah.
I agree. And I think that'll be huge.
Yeah.
And if they have a good partnership, this is a much better team. This could definitely be a playoff team, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean
not even a playoff team, but a real contender.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a playoff team. I think it's going to be hard to beat the Warriors. Have you seen their starting five? It looks absolutely insane. Like, if you would have told me 4 years ago or 5 years ago that this would be their starting lineup, I would assume it's the All-Star lineup, or the All-NBA team lineup. That's just what you would, you see this team, that's what you think of.
Yep.
And you could have told me, in all honesty, you could have put these names in any order, and I would have assumed this is the All-NBA lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think it's going to be hard to beat that. I still think the Warriors are going to whoop anyone's ass that they play. So I don't know if they'll go to the championship, but they're definitely it doesn't matter if LeBron goes to the worst team in the league. I will assume that he's that good that they're going to be talked about as a championship team. And I will talk about the Lakers as the championship team, just as I did for the Cavs, but I did not think they would win.
Yep. It's kind of almost the same boat. And I think whatever team LeBron goes to will be in that same boat. You'll always be a championship team, but you're not beating the Warriors by yourself. Poor guy.
All right, so thank y'all for listening to another PSA. It's been fun. Do y'all have anything else to say?
Nope, not much. Y'all have fun. Be safe out there. Keep listening.
I do not. You guys be safe. Have fun. Watch the Patriots-Colts game Thursday night.
Y'all be safe out here. Leave us questions, comments, concerns on iTunes. Leave a rating as well. And we'll see y'all next week.